Hi guys, today we're going to talk about stringing guitars, so the different kinds of strings available, the different kind of pitfalls of doing it yourself, when you should do it, all that kind of thing. So let's get started with first of all, how often you should change your string. I mean, I know from my perspective, I used to only change strings when they break.
Sure.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, same here.
Oh really? Fair enough.
Yeah,
that makes me feel a bit better.
Months and months.
Yeah.
I from doing repair for the last sort of 8-9 years, I would recommend you train them as regularly as possible.
Okay. Fair enough. So
there's specific sort of points that would indicate you know, when you should probably change your strings.
Okay.
They're not going to feel very good. Okay, after some play time, they're going to slow down.
Yeah.
They're going to blacken up. You know, the unwound strings will look dirty.
Okay.
When you change them more regularly, you certainly get a lot more better play out of them. You know? Tonally.
Yeah, they're louder, they're brighter.
Yeah, they're going to stay in tune a bit better.
Okay.
Also, you'll just want to play it for a bit longer too.
Sure.
Okay, and you know, going back to the very start of guitar maintenance sort of courses and help advice.
Yeah.
Changing your strings or knowing how to, and then doing it fairly regularly is great.
Sure.
Okay. Hanging on to old strings, you know, is not good.
It's not really necessary. I mean, I know that when I started playing guitar in I guess the sort of mid to late 90s, strings were the same or more expensive than they are now.
Sure.
Which is just crazy when everything else has obviously gone up with inflation. You know, you can get a set of strings for £5, £6, £7, and they're a decent standard.
Absolutely.
And as a rule, if one string is broken, unless you've just put them on, get them all off, get them changed. And as you were saying, even if they haven't broken, what would you say if we can put a sort of rough figure? So if say somebody's using the guitar, they're playing every day, every other day, light to medium use. What are we talking? Are we talking months?
I'd say maybe
6 months,
a month, 6 weeks.
Month to 6 weeks.
And also, like, something to consider is the length of time between play as well.
Okay.
Because over that time, they could have tarnished if you've not been using it for a while.
Sure.
You know,
okay.
so you might
even if it's in its case, kind of thing. Or?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, even if you haven't played it for so many hours as you know, like weekly or what have you.
Yeah.
They may still wear.
Sure. Okay.
If people are gigging and you know, or playing it hours at a time a day. Might come down to the sweat and fingers and things like that. Also, whether you wipe down afterwards, you know.
Sure.
Some people do try clean the strings afterwards.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad idea.
Okay. There's certain products you can get that specifically help with that kind of thing. I know that the fast
string
fret
cleaners, fast fret, things like that. But I would advise trying to change your strings more regularly than you probably are.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Like just as a general, you know,
sure. Okay.
people, you know, it's often on a repair side, you're getting guitars coming in quite often with really, really horrible old strings on.
Sure.
They won't even intonate.
Okay.
And they will hardly sort of, you know, hold tune, etc.
Okay.
So
you're
limiting yourself there.
Intonation, for those that don't know, if you just...
Is the tuning over the whole guitar.
Okay,
the overall tuning, the balance and the compensation of those strings, which we will go into.
We'll go to later today. Absolutely, yeah, that's definitely not for today, but it is a very integral, I mean, it's absolutely key to the guitar. It's how the guitar makes chords, makes notes, all that kind of thing. And if the string is too old, the guitar fundamentally can't do that properly.
Yes, and also you might not want to play it quite as long too, which is just a shame.
Absolutely, it's a shame. Well, yeah, and I have to say I've played guitars before, usually students' guitars when I've taught. The strings feel rusty. Almost rusty, and you think, God, you're going to need a tetanus shot from playing this.
Absolutely.
And
when they feel rough on your fingers, particularly as you're learning, where your calluses aren't quite as used to it,
that's going to hurt.
Then if that does cut, then it's going to hurt, and then you're not playing.
Exactly, and you've got dirt going in your cut. That's how it gets infected. It's not just a vanity thing by any means, or even just a playability thing. It's kind of health as much as
following on with the rest of the maintenance of the guitar.
Yeah.
It's a very good opportunity to get in and and look after a couple other bits, which are very simple and straightforward.
Okay, cool. So sort of month to 6 weeks. That's interesting. So, in terms of what kinds of strings you can get on, let's first have a look, or rather a talk about the gauge of the string. What kind of difference does that make? Because you hear people talk about 9s, about 10s, about 11s. What does that actually mean?
Well, it means the thickness, the gauge of the string. Okay. So a 9 set, it means 9/1000ths of an inch.
Okay.
Thickness on
and that's
the high E.
The high E string.
The high E.
Okay.
9s are a little more comfortable to play on.
Okay.
They're a little bit easier to bend.
Yep.
Than 10s.
Okay.
10s are very common. 10s are pretty much...
That's just standard.
Yeah,
standard
I would
set.
say so.
Okay.
Yeah. 11s slightly thicker, heavy end. Okay. The bottom end slightly thicker, as are the top. A little less easier to bend.
Yep.
Okay. But if you're fretting and you're fretting a little bit hard, the thinner strings are easier to sharpen those notes.
Okay, so just to clarify, you've got a string stretching over a fret, and as you press down, you're effectively bending the string too much and sort of sharpening it, like you say.
So the thinner the string, the easier it is to do that. So therefore, the weight of the fretting,
and that will make your chords sound out of tune when you'd otherwise.
It can.
You might be technically playing the right sort of frets and the right strings, and they're not buzzing. But if you're pushing down too hard, like you say, 11s, maybe 10s or 11s switching up to could definitely help. Yeah.
There's something to be said also for the tension in those strings with the different styles of guitar. Okay. In the scale length from the nut to the bridge.
Sure. So the physical length of the strings on the guitar. So I know that with a Fender, they're very slightly longer than with a Gibson. So.
The Fender styles are 25.5 inches from the leading edge of the nut to the bridge, the intonation line.
So again, this being the nut, this being the bridge, taking it down to sort of layman's terms, but and that's 25.5 inch, you say?
That's right. Okay. Yeah. The Gibson style guitars are 24.75, so it's just slightly shorter.
So sort of 3/4 of an inch. So I guess just under 2 centimeters, something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
So with the same gauge of string, be it 9s or 10s or 11s or whatever, there's slightly less tension in that guitar.
In the shorter scale?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just an overview on that.
Okay, cool. So if you're playing a Strat on say with a set of 10s on there, I'm saying this because this is exactly what I do, but I generally, if I've got a Fender guitar, I will have 10s on there.
Sure.
So I like the feel of it.
Yeah.
I sometimes go to 11s if I'm feeling adventurous. But with a Gibson, because of the slightly shorter scale, if I have 10s on a Gibson, I find that I overbend a bit much.
Absolutely.
And I bend a bit sharp. So I tend to put 11s on my Gibson and 10s on my Strat. Yeah,
quite a lot of people will do similar, but they'll do 9s on this and 10s on the Gibson, for instance.
Yeah, that works.
But I think working through different gauges is a good thing to do too.
Yeah.
And find out what works really well for you. There are hybrids, there are, other
that's where you
types
get
of strings.
The wound thick strings are very thick, and the thinner strings are off. Maybe you'd have sort of half 10s and half 12s.
That's right.
Or 9s and 11s.
And it is worth experimenting with them. And I'm pretty sure once you change gauge, you're either just gonna that's it, you're set, or you're like, no, I prefer.
Plus, also, I guess there's something to be said for if you're playing in drop tuning. So if you're tuning your guitar to E flat or down to D or C sharp, whatever, a thicker gauge string is definitely advisable because you'll kind of compensate for that lack in tension.
Exactly, with the thicker strings. So for sure.
Cool. And in terms of different kinds of strings, I mean, is it all much of a muchness?
Well, most common ones are just nickel wound strings, which we'll be using. There are many coated strings on the market.
Okay, fair enough.
There's also stainless steel strings, which are quite a little bit harder.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe a brighter sound or a more metallic-y sound.
Okay, fair enough.
Something to bear in mind.
I guess it's kind of things that you've got to just try out really and see what works for you,
Absolutely.
see what works for your guitar. Yeah. There's no kind of right or wrong. There's a million different players that use a million different methods of what they like, but it's
and I think for us now we have such resources to get whatever types and very quickly. Okay, and you're right, and that they're no more costly than they used to be.
Absolutely. And the coated strings, in my experience, I do use coated strings. They definitely do last a lot longer.
Sure.
They obviously, I wouldn't say, well, not all of them necessarily break any less regularly. So if you break one, you still break one, and it's more expensive if you do. But in terms of dirt, they're very resistant to corrosion, to sort of dirt, which is good. But it's again, it's not for everybody. You just got to kind of try, see what you like, and sort of go from there, really. But cool. I think that pretty much covers us on talking about the sort of restringing. There are many different methods of restringing guitars, or rather different techniques required
for the different tuners,
for different types of guitar. Headstocks, absolutely. Even things like Floyd Rose tremolos or Strat bridges. Absolutely. There's so many. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start to look at a few different key types, starting off with the Strat that we've got in front of us here, with the modern style 6-in-line through tuners. They're probably the most common that you'll see on a lot of different kinds of guitars. So we'll see you then.